Dhikrullahi tabaraka wa ta'ala, the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the heart and the tongue, is something that is so beneficent, so great, that this is based on the purpose of our life, and that is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And we all need protection from all kinds of evil. For a person to attain goodness in this life, we need to be upon two things: benefits that we acquire and harm that we push away. And without one or the other, then there's always deficiencies and weaknesses and problems in our life. And one of the things that the dhikr of Allah, the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a person attain by doing it, is that it pushes away the harm and also brings all kinds of benefits and strength for this life and the hereafter. One of which is pushing away the harm. And we follow the way of the Prophet ﷺ, and one of the things to do is to recite the last 3 surahs in the Qur'an. The mu'awwidhat, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. And this is something that our children, they have it memorized from the very first surahs that they would memorize after Surah Al-Fatiha. So we all, inshaAllah, we have it memorized. So to repeat it many times throughout the day from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, it's means of blessings and rewards, and it's means of pushing away harm. After every salah, 1 time, and after Salatul Fajr and Salatul Maghrib, 3 times. So this is by itself, with the 5 daily salah, we should never miss it whatsoever. And before going to sleep, the Prophet ﷺ, as it's reported in Sahih al-Bukhari and others, authentic ahadith, that the Prophet ﷺ كان إذا أوى إلى فراشه, whenever he would go to bed, not before going to bed, whenever he would lay down in bed, he would recite the last 3 surahs. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, then قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, then قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ, and ثُمَّ نَفَث. So there are more than one way, as the words of the hadith can be different from different narrations, but one of the most authentic way, as the ulama they mentioned, is that the person to bring both hands to be close to the mouth, and you recite in your hand Surah قُلْ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, complete, and then Surah قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, then قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ, all at once. And then after that, ثُمَّ نَفَثَ, that means you would blow lightly in it, like this, 3 times. After you finish the recitation, then the Prophet ﷺ would wipe over his head, over his face, and then his head, وَمَا أَقْبَلَ بِهِمَا مِنْ جَسَدِهِ, and what goes afterwards from his physical body all the way to the end. This is 1 time. So to do this 3 times, the second time the same way, and then the 3rd time before going to sleep. And these are means of protection. When a person is asleep, this is the weakest state that you are in. And whether it's from shaitan, the devil, whether it's from whatever harm that can happen, so this is means of protection. There are matters of unseen which we don't know exactly what happens. And there's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that shows there are angels that would be there for the protection of that human being that made the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before going to sleep. So this is something that we do to ourselves, we do to our children even before they go to sleep if they're not having it memorized. And once they're able to read and to memorize, we should make sure that we have them memorized, and they would do it to themselves before going to sleep. And you add to this that this is ubudiyyah to Allah. This is servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with these beautiful words, and therefore to contemplate over the meanings of it, to know what it means to establish the oneness of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is an objective, even though we just mentioned how to do it and how to use it, but we need to learn every word in these surahs and to live our life according to what these surahs means. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.